Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Hayward. I am from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast and YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today, we have a feature-length episode with Sebastian Schieke, who is an entrepreneur, CEO, mentor, business angel, and investor. We talk about his early life in East Germany in the communist era and how opening up the Berlin Wall and going to West Germany inspired him to become an entrepreneur and a business owner. We go really interesting conversation about goal setting and health and well-being and how he has prioritized health, but equally he has been able to set goals, whether they are daily, weekly, monthly, or 6 monthly or yearly. So it's really super interesting bit there. We talk about his early career as an IT consultant and being very successful in that, and then setting up his business and running a business. And equally, we talk about our hard times that he's experienced as well. So there's some really, really interesting conversations about his business, how to run a business, how to have difficult conversations, and how one of the interesting bits that I sort of eked out of him, which you probably didn't want me to, but was about whether he would sell his current business at the moment. So please do listen to this and watch this episode. I hope you enjoy it. If you are enjoying that, please do give it a like. Please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, and then you'll be told the next time that any videos are here. So please enjoy the video. Today we have Sebastian Schieke, who is an entrepreneur, CEO, mentor, and business angel and investor. Hello, Sebastian. How are you today?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm awesome. Thank you.
Good. I'm so pleased that you're with me today. Thank you very much for being here. The first question I ask all of my guests is, the podcast is called Absolute Business Mindset. What is a business mindset to you?
Yeah, for me, a business mindset is actually always looking out for opportunities and if possible, turning these opportunities into a new product, a new service, something you can use to create value for your customers. And this opportunity mindset is, for me, the most important skill of an entrepreneur, because for me, it was basically responsible for most of my success so far.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So you've got there's a story in your upbringing. You were brought up in East Germany until the age of 14.
Yes.
Can you just tell me a little bit about how it was different, and how now that you've seen that, what your upbringing was like compared to other parts of Germany, West Germany?
Of course. I grew up in Dresden, which is basically on the eastern part of Germany, and I was born in 1975, so my youth I spent in a communist country, and in a communist country, entrepreneurship almost didn't exist. Everything belonged to the. At least they said that everyone belonged to everybody. Of course, this wasn't true, but there was no real entrepreneurship. Also, a few small businesses existed, and basically, the start of my entrepreneurial career was inspired by my mother, because she founded a hairdressing salon. So run it on her own, despite the odds and despite all the hardship you faced as an entrepreneur in East Germany.
Why do you think, in your mindset, you lent yourself towards entrepreneurship?
It's a good question. For me, growing up in this restricted world, I was always looking for freedom. I was always looking to do my thing. I hated regulation. I hated that people told me what to do. And I saw this probably in my subconscious mind. I saw that entrepreneurship would give me this freedom, this opportunity to do things on my terms. And once we moved over to West Germany when I was 14, basically right after the wall came down, I met. We went to relatives, and they also run their own construction office, and their freedom, their possibilities, they really inspired me, and this sort of saw the seeds for me to go into this direction.
Do you think the constriction of the communist state and your desire to have freedom and have life on your terms, do you think that's a direct result of those experiences as a young child, or do you think there's something inside of you, sort of like a nature nurture, is naturally that you are an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, obviously, my personality supports or supported this drive. I mean, we all have different personality traits, different behavioral tendencies, and I'm a very go-getter guy. I want to get things done. I always have goals. I always strive for something, and this obviously is one important element which add to my experience as living in this country of basically shortage and restrictions.
Did you hate it, the restrictions that you had? Would you go as strongly as you hated it, or was it more of a retrospective once you saw the freedom that the West had, that what I'm trying to get at is psychologically, sort of in your mindset, were you fighting against it all the time, or was it that once you saw when the ball came down that actually there is freedom, there is entrepreneurship, there's all these things that you're looking for? How would you have defined it? How do you define it?
Good question. I didn't actively fight against it, but I would argue, if I would have been older, if I would have lived longer in this country, then I probably would have started to also fight, to also be against the system. And actually, I'm quite pleased that I wasn't that old by the time, because if I would have acted more aggressively against the system, I might have ended up in some institution. I mean, you know the stories, of people who speak against the system. They had a experience of a lot of hardship and trouble, which didn't happen to me. So I was quite lucky to move over to West Germany in young age.
You just said that you've always set goals, and that's always been something for you, because you're a go-getter and you want to set goals. What is the methodology? How do you set your goals? Do you set yearly goals, half-yearly goals, weekly goals, daily goals? Do you do all of the above? How do you sort of set out your goal setting in January for the year?
Yes, I mean, it's an interesting question, and then this process has evolved. Initially, I was setting really long-term goals, 3 to 5 year goals. I broke it down in yearly goals, monthly, and so on. I even run a yearly event, at the end of the year, where we do goal setting and prepare for the next year. I think I've become more agile now in the last years, because long-term planning is very difficult in the life of constant change, in a life of this VUCA world we live in, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So I tend to set a maximum of 1 year goals nowadays, but I really try to have a kind of an agile approach, like a sprint planning, where I look at the next 3 to 4 months and see, okay, what is actually important for me? What do I need to focus on? I balance the goals out. I use this wheel of life methodology, where you have all the different areas of your life. I mean, business, financials, but also health, family, my spouse, my partner, my wife, my kids, that I assign enough attention to these individual areas. Because, hey, what is the result when you have an amazing business and poor health and not an existing family life? This is not healthy, and it doesn't make you happy in the long run. So my philosophy is that to really balance the areas of your life out and intentionally really set goals in these individual areas. and also invest time in them.
So you set yearly goals. Do you review them halfway through, or do you just are you just ploughing on with them, and then do you then break them into monthly targets like KPIs, or how do you structure below that yearly? Because I get that I do yearly goals and I review at the end of July, sort of halfway through the year. I can push on in the second half of the year. You do your yearly goals. How do you then break them into KPIs?
I also break them down in I review them once. I mean, in the middle of the year as well. Then I break a yearly goal down into monthly buckets, into achievable outcomes. And then I have a weekly process where every Monday, initially I did it Sunday night, but having a family, having kids, it's really hard to plan a time on a Sunday evening. But Monday morning, I don't have anything scheduled before 9:30. And when I come to the office at 8, I will sit down on a Monday and I look at my week. I look at my areas of life. I look at my monthly and quarterly goals. And then I plan my week accordingly and see, okay, how can I assign enough time and attention to the individual areas of my life so that I make progress.
Excellent. And you mentioned just a minute ago about the wheel of life, that sort of personal financial, work, business, family,
spirituality.
Which bit are you best at, and which bit are you worst at on the wheel of life?
I mean, it really depends, I would say. Yeah, there are times. I mean, we always tend to focus more energy on business. Yeah, I mean, this is in our nature. Yeah, as an achiever, you always try to be successful and you put a lot of emphasis in. So in the end, this is one of my areas which is very, very successful because it has consistent attention. Yeah. I also made lots of progress in my health. 10 years ago I had 10 kilos overweight, which I reduced. I started running. I started changing my diet, which was amazing. I lost a bit in the last 2 years because I have a tendon which I hurt while running, and this prevents me a little bit from exercising as much as I want. And then you see that your fitness level. I mean, I measure everything. I have all these apps and then I have Oura Ring, and you see that how fitness is impacted. If you're not able to practice and work out in the same level as you did in the past. So seeing this makes me realize, okay, I need to put more focus on this area, and of course look for different workout methodologies, to keep this fitness level up. We spent a lot of time in the family, so I always try to focus on that area. What I want to do more next year is contribution, giving back more to the community. And this is why I also started my own podcast, by the way, because this is something where you can share thoughts, where you can share ideas. I also interview high performance CEOs, and using this medium to give back, to educate our listeners.
And what's the podcast called?
It's the High Performance CEO podcast.
And what's the USP for it?
Well, I try to I collect high performance habits of founders, of CEOs of primarily tech companies. So on one hand, we talk about the personality habits. What do they do to be successful, to manage workload, to lead their team? But I also look for interesting companies, interesting companies in the tech space who really change the world, who really bring value in a new way to businesses and people. And this combination I like a lot. I learn a lot. I met amazing people in the last couple of months, and I also think this brings a lot of value to our listeners, because the combination of performance habit, but also a really purposeful driven business is something I think is needed in this world.
And don't downplay the value that it adds to you. Being able to, I feel blessed, I feel privileged to be able to speak to great CEOs, great coaches, great authors, great business people, entrepreneurs, and I'm very lucky to be in this position to spend an hour with people like you, Sebastian, and I learn stuff that I wasn't aware of, or it refreshes things that I'm already aware of, and it really it is a little bit selfish. You are giving back. You're giving to a community.
Of course, it's a both two-way thing. Yeah.
But actually, there is something very beautiful about actually having this space and this time with people that you probably wouldn't really speak to because they're not really your niche, your area, and haven't been exposed to those people. I feel incredibly blessed to be able to be in that position.
Me too. I really love this. Yeah, I didn't expect this to be so much fun.
Right, let's talk about your current business. So you've been doing it for 22 years. Is it Skytus?
Yes. I mean, when I started, I founded my first company, Citus, in the year 2000. Initially, I was a freelancer, an IT consultant before then. I was luckily at the right time, at the right place. At a time where IT, if you could spell IT, you could get a high-paid job, and this was a crazy time. And I had more work I could handle, so I worked as a consultant a couple of years, working for different banks and corporates here in Germany. And then I thought, I mean, I can run this as a business, so I didn't want to be on my own anymore. I wanted to also basically put people into other positions. So I founded a first company. But I mean, different aspects. I mean, on one hand, the IT market changed right after the year 2000. We had this big boom in the this Y2K topic. Where I mean, everyone thought the world is going to end. Nothing happened apart from the fact that people made lots of money.
And made lots of money, didn't they?
Yes. And I also didn't really enjoy this process of just shuffling CVs back and forth. So I did this on a lower scale, and then I also was working as a consultant, doing IT projects. And again, being at the right time at the right place, I got into a project. They implemented a treasury management system for their finance department and risk management department. And I sort of found this fascinating, this product, the finance world, managing cash, managing financial risks. And I sort of said, this is an interesting topic. So I went into this product. I literally printed out this manual, I mean, a few hundred pages. I started reading it. I started getting into this product. I was supporting this project for over 2 years. I was working really hard, really on the system and implementing functions, helping designing the business process, and I really enjoyed it. And I probably also did a good job. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept me so long. And then there was a time when I was really worked out. I mean, I was really tired, and I wanted to go on holiday. I really wanted to travel, and I wanted to go to Australia for 6 weeks. I mean, this was my big plan back then, And I thought, hey, how can I do that? How can I go away and still support my client? And then I sort of changed from a one-man show to a real company. I hired my first employee. Then I went away.
Just on that, the first employee, was it a friend? Was it a colleague? Was it ex-colleague? Was it a person? Did you apply? Did the person apply for it?
It was a boyfriend of a friend. So a friend of which I knew for a while, and her boyfriend he was looking for a job, and yeah, we met, and it was a good chemistry. And then he started, and he stayed with me for 22 years. Yeah.
23 years, really?
Yes, because I basically retired from this business this year. Tell you about the story later. So he started, I went away, and he did an amazing job. I came back, and business exploded. You know, we had more clients, more people, and it was growing like crazy. And because luckily, right time, right place, there was a niche, there was a demand, and the business grew for probably 10 years, you know, which was a blessing, but it was also a curse for me, you know. Why is that? Because when things grow, yeah, then you become complacent, you know, you take success for granted, and you don't develop the skills which are so crucial to be successful in the long run. Yeah. So once this market changed, and I know exactly a story. You know, I was standing. I was by the time back then we all wore suits. You know, so I was in the suit shop. You know, putting on some suits, and I was thinking, yeah, you know, what shall happen to me? You know, I have now 20 odd employees working for me. Money is coming in. Business is coming in. You know, I mean, what shall happen? Yeah. Little did I know that. Within a short period of time, this whole thing changed, you know, for various reasons. Yeah, the market changed. The companies they developed over time. They had their own people building up the knowledge, so there wasn't a big demand anymore. And I was really feeling almost depressed and fearful, and I didn't know what to do, because I didn't build up the skills, you know, because I was always in a sunny world, sunshine all over the place. And suddenly we had rain coming. Yeah? So it was a tough process. I had to restructure the business. But the most important thing I learned back then is that in order to change anything for me, I had to change. So I started a process of personal development. I worked with coaches. I traveled the world. I went to seminars, you know, and I really changed myself, my mindset. I also changed my physiology. As I said, I lost 10 kilos, and really turned things around for me. So
I want to touch on those things, on mental health and on personal development. They're two areas I want to talk about, but I just want to reel it back a little bit, because I want to just understand. So I was a consultant for 14 years, worked at a couple of the big four accountancy firms in their consulting area. So I get it. I get what you were doing and the essentially what we're doing. But for some of my listeners that don't have that corporate experience, or don't have that understanding, it's sort of like what value does a consultant add that a employee doing an internal review can't do? Like what's the additional value that consultant can provide to a company?
Yeah, it's the outside view. It's the outside view, and the experience this consultant has with different clients, you know, with different other clients facing similar problems. But the outside view is so important, because we all stuck in our head, you know, and we all have our biases, and this an external consultant often doesn't have. And I also work with coaches and people helping me to get out of my mind, you know, when I focus on a topic and I think I'm stuck, you know, then I ask someone else, because they have a different viewpoint. And this is why companies hired consultants, or still do.
Do you see that there's this very stereotypical view of a management consultant, which is slightly different from a consultant? I worked with clients. We had products, tech products that we sold to companies, and so I consulted with them and gave them advice.
Yeah,
there's a very much a different well, not very different, but a slightly different view of the management consultant
Yes.
that
Yeah.
drops into a company, sits in a office space with other people, with another 3 or 4 other people, and they analyze the company, don't really talk to anyone, and then
Yeah.
at the end they do a fantastic PowerPoint presentation or a dashboard, create a dashboard, and then disappear.
Yeah.
Is that actually true, or what's the reality? Because people have that perception.
I mean, we didn't work as this typical management consultant. So we implemented solutions. So we stuck with the clients until it was basically released. I mean, I've seen companies, I've seen consultants operate like this. Especially in the past. I think it has changed a lot in the last years because clients realize that this is not working in the long run, you know. But I've seen this typical behaviors of these pure management consultants coming in, turning everything upside down, creating PowerPoints, presenting it to the management, and then they left. They haven't. The problem is that no one really took them and asked them to stay until it's implemented. Then they would have realized that this might not be a valuable solution, you know.
Yeah.
But I know this perception. I think in current times this has changed, or is changing dramatically.
Yeah, I agree. I think things have changed, and I think what the response is a little bit by the management consultancies companies. They realize that they can have sort of longer time with the client, and they've got more billable hours, but the benefit for the client is that they get a lot more support and sort of daily support, rather than very isolated 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a company and then disappearing. So thank you for your view on that. So I wanted to touch on the mental health point of view that you've said you experienced. So you had many years of good growth of your business, and then you hit a snag where the business wasn't growing perhaps as much, or how much you wanted, and you said you described depression. The word you used was actually depression.
I didn't have depression. I mean, I had a lot of I felt bad, you know. I felt I mean, there's a difference between having depression and feeling depressed, you know. So I would say
I wanted to be careful about using that word, because you might have defined it slightly differently. But please go ahead.
Yeah. So I actually felt fearful, you know. I mean, suddenly I had all these issues. Yeah. I mean, there's not enough. I mean, I had 20 odd employees. So literally every month, I had to pay the equivalent of a Mercedes S-Class on salaries and social contribution. Yeah. So every month, a Mercedes S-Class was driving off my courtyard, you know. And I mean, I had good months before, but I also had months where almost nothing came in, you know. So I mean, I needed to do something. Yeah. And this was back then, not having the experience I have now. It was a challenge. So I had sleepless nights. I really didn't know what to do. And then I started to look at the course, and the course was not my clients or the economy. The course was me, you know. I was the problem, because I didn't have the skills to manage this. I didn't have the mental toughness and the skills to manage my emotions. You know, we all go through the emotions, but we need to. I mean, I learned how to manage my state, how to be focused and alert and positive despite what is happening around me. Which I mean, I cannot change what's happening. You know, you cannot change the economy. You cannot change all these traumas which are happening in the world, but you can change how you react.
Yes.
You can change how you see this and what you do. And this is what I learned. And then my game changed.
So people use the term now emotional intelligence and sort of empathy, which is,
Yeah,
I think, a little bit for both
yeah.
individual and for the rest of the world. From your point of view, because what I have struggled with in the past was I was quite empathetic with other people, and I was thinking about other people's drivers, emotions, but I was really bad at my own emotional intelligence. I didn't really understand me, so I had to spend some time working on understanding me. What do I stand for? What are my values? Why do I do these things? What's my driver?
Mm.
And that's been a real revelation for me to understand at my core what I stand for and what I want to sort of do in my life. Was that a similar experience for you? Did you struggle with understanding yourself?
Yes, yes. And I actually, I learned this by, I mean, first of all, engaging with all the content, going to the seminars and talking to coaches, but also with some personal assessments I used back then. You know, I mean, there are assessments which you can use to understand your behavior tendencies, your motivators, even your thinking patterns, you know, and there you see where you might have blind spot. You talked about empathy. I personally have and I did this assessment back then, and just now again, I have a very high empathy. You know, I'm almost over attentive in my empathy. So I think a lot about how do my actions influence others.
Yeah.
Yeah, which of course is good in a sense, but it's also it can also prevent you from taking necessary actions which are some difficult which are difficult, like for example letting people go, you know. So when you have this over attentive, and I always struggled with firing people basically, you know, because I focused too much on this personal relationship, and I was thinking too much, how does my decision affect this person? So being aware of that, I don't want to change my empathy, but now at least I'm aware that this causes me some sleepless nights. And if I would ever, and I hope not, but if I would ever be in this position again that I had to fire people, then I know that, okay, I need to be more logically in this perspective. On the other hand, you have people with a low empathy, you know. I mean, best example at the moment, you look at how the layoffs at Twitter are handled. I mean, apparently Elon Musk has very low empathy. You know, he just sends an email to a few thousand people telling them you're fired. So you can measure this with these assessments, and this is so helpful for yourself to really understand yourself. And you have it on paper, but also when you build teams, when you develop your team and your company, you know, and you measure, when you do these assessments with your team, then you know where they're how do they think, what is motivating them, where do they might have blind spots, and then you can help them develop their skills and develop that they strive and go in the right direction.
Yeah, I get that, and I think I struggle also with what you're saying about empathy, that the sort of, you want people to stay and work with you and have that good relationship, but sometimes people aren't a good fit anymore, or whatever. It's that things can change, I suppose. What was it like? Just talk me through your mindset of actually the first person you had to fire, you had to get rid of. What was your approach? Were you factual? Were you empathetic? How was that difficult? Because we all have difficult conversations. It's not always firing people, but sometimes you just to have those difficult conversations with other people. How did you approach that from a stance? Emotional, empathetic?
Yeah, I mean, it took me weeks, you know. I was basically going pregnant with ideas for weeks, you know, and I was coming to the office. I was avoiding this person because I knew, hey, I need to do something, and I was always telling me out of this, you know, saying, yeah, you know, it's not that bad, and we will manage, we will find some. I mean, there was a situation where I couldn't really place this person with my clients. He didn't resonate with the clients, and it just didn't work. So I was always trying to tell myself out, and focus on hope, which is a bad bad thing to do. I mean, you cannot build a business on hope. Yeah. So I really, and then what helped me is talking this through with my management team, and really coming to a factual decision that this doesn't work. And then I executed on that, and I mean, in the end, it worked. It worked okay for both sides. He realized that this is not working, and in the end, he was also happy because now he had an opportunity to look for something else which fitted better to his situation.
Absolutely. So you're a consultant, or a work consultant. You're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur. You're an investor. What's your favorite part of business? What's the best bit? What's the interesting bit? Is it the tech? Is it the finance? Is it the coaching? What's your favorite bit of being in business?
I mean, initially it was running projects and delivering a solution to the client. I did this for 22 years. I retired from this business this year, and my really the thing I like most is helping other people, working with other entrepreneurs, helping them reach the next level in their business and in their personal development. And this is where I really thrive. Working with them one-to-one, and also we help them develop their teams. So we run team programs and really help them to build a high-performance organization. This is what I really enjoy, and where we can add lots of value to our customers.
Absolutely. Thank you. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned from those 22 years before you retired? What's the biggest lesson that you've had? You've been through like good growth, like solid growth, through hard times as well. What was the one, well, maybe not one thing, but what are the lessons that you've learned from all these years in business that you would want to either share with your 18-year-old self, or share with an 18-year-old friend, colleague, or of yours?
Yeah, when you run a business as a founder, you go through different stages. You often start as the expert. You're really good at something you do. Be a coder or a creator or a musician. You're the expert in a business, and then you start an organization, you start a business, and focus on doing this. Then after a certain time, you realize, okay, you need people. You need to build up a team. So you transition from being the expert to being the manager. Some completely transition to being a manager. Some stay part expert, part manager. It's a process. To really bring a business to another level, and to really create a business and create a sustainable organization, you have to transition from the manager to be a real entrepreneur.
So
to be a business owner.
You quoted Michael Gerber's E-Myth. I don't know if that was deliberate or.
I didn't. Not. I mean, this is a. I mean, in the literacy, and most of the business coach use this. It's a
great way of defining business.
And it is a great way, and it's very important. I didn't notice when I started. I didn't notice until I reached this point where we had these challenges, because I was the manager, I was the operator in my business, and I thought this is supposed to be. This is how I should run this organization. But if I would have stepped out from this manager role before the challenges hit me, then I would have been better prepared. Then I would have seen then I would have worked on the organization, not in. And when you work in an organization, you're always involved in all these challenges, all these issues, all these politics plays at client sides, which in the end, this tires you, this wears you down. And this is why it's so important as a founder that you step out and you really look at this from an external point of view. There are entrepreneurs or there are founders, they don't want this. They want to stay as a coder, which is fine. But then you have to find other people who take this role. Then you have to find other managers and someone who will be the CEO, the entrepreneur with an entrepreneurial mindset. Otherwise, you end up like me, almost losing your business.
Absolutely. Would you sell your business?
Yes. I mean, this was also a process.
I'm not asking you to...
I mean, I had the, well, I as I said, I retired. But I had an opportunity right before this challenging times, and I said, "Oh, I can't do this. I mean, this is my baby. Yeah, how can I sell this? This is me." And this is also learning. You need an exit plan as a founder. You need to be able to step away from your business, sell it. Otherwise, you're not an entrepreneur. You have a job. You're just an employee. So I made the mistake back then that I said no, or not that I said no, but I wasn't ready to sell it to someone where it would be a good fit. And now I have a different viewpoint on that. Now I'm an investor. I help startups to in their seed phase. So I invest in early stage startups and help them grow. Now I would be happy to sell when the time is right. If I found a new business, maybe in the future, then of course I would also design it in a way that I will be able to sell it at a certain point in time.
So let's just say theoretically, hypothetically saying you sell this business in a year's time. What do you then do in a year's time? Do you start something else? Do you perhaps act as a coach in lots of small startups? What does the world look like? Do you create your own another business yourself? Because you're going to end up with a lot of free time and a lot of avenues and opportunities to go in. What would that world look like, or what could that world look like for you post?
Well, whoever's in this position where he might think about selling a business, you need to develop a plan B. You need to have something prepared before you sell it. I mean, this is my personal opinion, because otherwise you really can end up in a situation where you reach your goal, you did the exit, you made lots of money, but hey, what's then, most of your friends, they might be still working, they have a day job. So you will sit at home. You can only do so much holidays and buy so many toys, and there will be the point where you're bored, where you don't have a really sense anymore and a purpose. And I think this is very important when people step out of a business, that they develop a plan B, that they develop a passion, that they already think about what would they do when the day come when they basically get the paycheck. And the same would apply when I would sell something, of course.
So you would just do more of the same. You wouldn't necessarily start another business.
No, I don't say more of the same. I would say have a plan B, that, for example, either start another business or find something to do which gives you purpose, which gives you enjoyment, which fulfills your needs. Because just having a big pile of cash doesn't fulfill your needs. Maybe you think this helps, but this fulfills your needs. But I mean, money is not helping you to grow, helping you to develop new skills. It's not making you happy, you know. I mean, there are so many people who made a fortune by selling something, or they won in lottery, and then they are miserable people. They're depressed. They don't know what to do because they have no purpose in life anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're coming to the end of the interview. I asked the same 6 questions to all of my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. The first question is, what was the best decision that you made?
The best decision I made in life was, I think there are many good decisions in retrospect. The best decision was probably going to a breakfast party, kind of a birthday party, where I didn't really want to go, but I went anyway, and I met my wife. So this was probably one of the best decisions I made.
Excellent. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
I want to quote my mentor, Tony Robbins. Life is happening for you and not to you. And when you look at this statement, look at all the challenges you had in the past. There was always something positive. You developed new skills. You stopped something which didn't work anyway and started something new. You developed yourself, and with every challenge I have, and I also have a lot of challenges, of course. I always ask myself, okay, how can this happening for me? What is the upside on this challenge? And then life is a completely different game. You know, you're not suffering anymore. You see this as something, a grow opportunity, and something you can really build on. And this helped me a lot.
Someone said, I think it's John DeMartini, that there's always, on every negative, there is also a counter opposite, which is positive, and vice versa. Positive, there's always a negative. So it might be that you something happens, but you can always see an opportunity for yourself to grow. In that, I think that's a really thought-provoking thing to realize, that in every decision, everything that impacts you, there's always an opportunity there, and vice versa. Everything that's going very well. I love the other one that it shall pass. So you're feeling sad and depressed, it shall pass. You're feeling elated because you've just sold a business, or you've just had this successful contract, it shall pass as well. There's always these like sort of emotional sort of highs or lows, but you have to realize they all will pass on to the next thing. So I love that quote as well.
It shall pass. Remember this.
Yeah, it shall pass. Whatever it is, good or bad, it shall pass. Who helped you most in your career?
Here again, probably my wife, giving me the stability at home, giving me backing, and believing in me. I mean, we entrepreneurs often our biggest enemies. You know, we doubt what we do. You know, we really are. We always ask ourselves, is this the right thing? You know, do I take the right decisions, and so on? And then you need someone who says, yeah, I mean, just go for it. You know, someone who knows you inside out. And I would say it's my wife.
Excellent. Do you have any regrets?
Actually, I mean, of course, there are always things you ask. You say to yourself, yeah, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have acted. There are always smaller things in life, but when I look more like on a more like very eagle view on my life, honestly, there's nothing I really regret. There's nothing major I say, okay, I shouldn't have done this. There are always small things, but nothing really which has an immense impact on my life. And I mean, this also when you look at this, take the statement, life is happening for you, not to you, then you develop this mindset, that things happen for a reason, and also my decisions are for a reason. Sometimes I make a mistake, but this mistake also in the long run led to something better, So I can truly say that in German we have this word im Reinen with yourself. I don't have any big major doubts or major regrets. No.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. What are you most proud of?
I have two amazing sons,
How old are they?
11 and 13. They get a bit of a difficult age at the moment,
I've been a 13-year-old boy. I know how difficult they can be.
But I learned today, this shall pass.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, those are amazing creatures, amazing people, and I love them, and I love how they develop. And often, of course, you see yourself in them. You see similarities, and I'm really proud of them.
What does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means, old patterns, old behaviors, old thought patterns which we carry around, which don't serve us anymore. So eliminating this from our lives, eliminating this from the way we think and the way we act is important, to be successful in this ever-changing world. So get rid of these unresourceful patterns which we all carry around,
And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm primarily active on LinkedIn. If you connect with me there, happy to chat, happy to meet new people. As I said, I'm having a podcast. So if someone wants to come on the show, just reach out to me, and the best place is LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sebastian. Before we go, do you have any last comments, any last thoughts?
I really enjoyed our conversation. I had this on a different podcast where someone said that the content we share, I mean, you said, okay, I have this from this book, and then it's some people say, oh, this common knowledge, Yes, it is common knowledge, but many people don't act on it, we don't execute. There's a statement from Jim Rohn. It's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do. We all know literally that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, I mean, as a simple statement, but how often do we eat an apple a day? How often do we drink enough water? How often do we do the simple things in life which have a big impact? And this is why I love talking on these podcasts about these so common things, because people need to be remembered. They need to be reminded. They need to really repeat this. Repetition is the mother of all skills. So there's nothing as common knowledge. It's all important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely fascinating speaking to you. I've had a really great time speaking. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Me too, Mark. Thanks for having me.